Some games test skill, some test confidence, but once in a while, a game tests something far more uncomfortable: endurance. Because in 2010, in a double overtime battle against the Washington Wizards, Derrick Rose didn't just have to beat defenders, he had to beat fatigue, doubt, and the quiet voice that asks a dangerous question late in games: how much do you really have left? Most people don't remember this game because it didn't come with a buzzer-beater highlight that plays every year. There was no single shot that defined it, no clean ending that wrapped the night up neatly. Instead, this was one of those games that drags players into deep water and waits to see who panics first. And here's the part nobody talks about. This was early Derrick Rose, before MVP chants became normal, before the league fully accepted him as the future. Back then, people still debated whether he could control games when things slowed down, whether he could lead when talent wasn't enough, whether he could grind. The Wizards didn't care about his reputation, they cared about wearing him down. From the opening minutes, the game was physical, not flashy. Bodies bumping on every drive, hands reaching on every dribble, possessions stretched just long enough to sap energy. Rose attacked anyway. Not recklessly, not wildly, but with purpose. Each drive felt like a message, not just to Washington, but to himself. I'm not leaving this to chance. As regulation wore on, the game tightened instead of breaking. Shots became harder, legs heavier, decisions slower. That's when young players usually fade. But Rose didn't retreat. He stayed involved, kept coming back for the ball, kept absorbing contact. When the clock finally ran down and the score was still tied, the arena didn't explode, it exhaled. Overtime doesn't feel like bonus basketball when you're on the floor. It feels like punishment. Every minute adds weight. Every mistake feels louder. The Wizards smelled opportunity. They pushed pace, forced switches, made Rose defend as much as attack. And still, he didn't blink. This is where the game quietly changed. Not because of a dunk, not because of a highlight, but because Derrick Rose refused to give his body permission to slow down. By the time the first overtime ended, players on both teams were bent over, hands on knees, gasping. Coaches yelled instructions that barely landed. The game had turned into survival. And then came the second overtime. That's when the question became unavoidable. Who still wanted this? Because double overtime isn't about plays anymore. It's about will. About whether you're willing to make one more cut, one more hit, fight for one more possession. Rose answered without saying a word. He kept attacking the paint even when defenders knew it was coming. He kept initiating offense even when fatigue screamed for relief. And something subtle happened. The Wizards started reacting to him instead of challenging him. That shift, that moment when opponents stop pushing and start waiting, is everything. Rose sensed it, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet leader's way. He slowed the game, chose his spots, made the right play instead of the loud one. Every possession felt heavier, but his presence steadied the chaos. This wasn't about dominance, it was about refusal. Refusing to back down, refusing to let exhaustion dictate decisions, refusing to hand the game over to randomness. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the win felt less like a celebration and more like a release. A collective understanding that something had been proven. Not to the league, not to the headlines, but to everyone on that floor. Derrick Rose didn't just survive a double overtime thriller, he controlled it. And that night quietly answered a question that would matter far more in the years to come. When the game stops being pretty, when talent isn't enough, when legs are gone and the moment refuses to end, will you still stand your ground? Derrick Rose already had his answer.
By the second overtime, the crowd wasn't reacting to plays anymore. They were reacting to effort. Every loose ball got a roar. Every stop felt louder than a made shot. This is where young stars usually disappear. Not because they're scared, but because their bodies betray them. Legs don't lift the same. Handles get higher. Decision-making slows just enough to be punished. Derrick Rose knew this. And instead of fighting the fatigue, he adjusted to it. He stopped sprinting into traffic. He stopped forcing early attacks. He began using the clock like a weapon. The Wizards tried to speed him up. Full court pressure, hard hedges, quick traps meant to rush decisions. They wanted the mistake. They wanted the rushed pass. They wanted the careless drive. Rose didn't give it to them. He walked the ball up, looked teammates in the eye, waited for defenders to lean first. That patience was new, and Washington noticed. This wasn't the blur they had prepared for. This was something more uncomfortable, a point guard dictating pace while exhausted, still willing to absorb contact when it mattered. Every possession became a negotiation. Rose would probe, the defense would hesitate, someone would blink. And when that blink came, Rose attacked decisively, not explosively, but intelligently. A drive into the body, 2 free throws, a reset. Those plays don't make highlight reels, but they break opponents because they drain energy without giving momentum back. The Wizards kept answering. They wouldn't fold. Veteran players stepped up, tough shots, tough finishes, each one daring Rose to respond again. And again, he did. Not by matching theatrics, by matching resolve. When the Bulls needed a bucket, Rose initiated. When they needed calm, he slowed things down. When they needed leadership, he didn't speak, he acted. There was a moment midway through the second overtime where the Wizards cut the lead to 1. The arena went quiet. You could feel the tension creep in. That's when Rose took control of the possession before it even started. He waved teammates into position, called for space, let the clock run. This wasn't arrogance, it was responsibility. He attacked late in the shot clock, drew help, kicked out to the open man. The shot fell. That sequence mattered more than any basket he scored himself, because it told everyone watching something important. Derrick Rose wasn't just surviving the grind. He was thinking clearly inside it. Fatigue usually strips players down to instinct, but Rose had added layers to his game, layers built on awareness and trust. The Wizards sensed the shift. Their energy started chasing instead of setting terms. They reacted instead of anticipating. That's the moment games tip. Not when one team scores big, but when one team controls the rhythm and the other can't change it. Every time Washington tried to speed things up, Rose slowed them back down. Every time they tried to force him into hero ball, he made the right pass first and attacked later. The clock kept moving. The arena felt heavier, and slowly, unmistakably, the game tilted. This wasn't the Derrick Rose people feared for his speed. This was the Derrick Rose they feared for his composure. By the final minutes, the Wizards looked tired in a way that wasn't just physical. It was the exhaustion that comes from chasing a player who won't panic. And Rose felt it. He didn't rush the ending. He didn't force the narrative. He trusted that if he stayed steady long enough, the game would crack. And it did.
By now, nobody on the floor was thinking about the score. They were thinking about survival. Hands rested on hips between whistles. Players bent forward during free throws, staring at the hardwood as if it might give something back. Coaches stopped drawing elaborate plays because nobody had the legs to execute them. This is where games stop being coached and start being decided. Derrick Rose understood that before anyone else did. He didn't rush to finish it. He didn't hunt a moment. He trusted the grind, because the grind was finally leaning his way. Washington tried one last adjustment. They switched bigger defenders onto him, hoping size would slow him down. They forced him left, crowded the lane, dared him to take jumpers with tired legs. Derrick Rose didn't resist the plan. He accepted it.
He let the defender body him, felt the contact, and still got to his spot. Not quickly, not violently, but deliberately. The kind of move you make when you know exactly how much space you need and no more. Every basket now felt like it took something permanent from the Wizards. Not confidence, not effort, hope. Because no matter what they threw at him, Rose responded with calm. A pull-up when the defender sagged, a drive when help came late, a pass when pressure arrived early. Each decision felt measured, intentional, heavy with purpose. There was a possession late in the second overtime where Rose didn't even attack. He dribbled the clock down, drew two defenders, and swung the ball to the wing. The shot didn't fall, but the possession mattered, because it told Washington something devastating. Even when tired, even when pressured, even when the moment begged for heroics, Rose was still choosing control over chaos. That kind of discipline breaks teams. The Wizards tried to answer with urgency. They pushed the ball, hunted quick looks, chased momentum. But every miss felt louder now. Every rebound felt harder to secure. And every time Rose touched the ball, the game slowed again. The Bulls fed off that steadiness. They stopped rushing. They trusted that the game would end the way it had been trending, slowly, painfully, in their favor. As the final minutes ticked away, the crowd leaned in, not to see a miracle, but to witness the inevitable conclusion of a long, exhausting battle. This wasn't about who was better anymore. It was about who refused to collapse. Derrick Rose didn't dominate the end. He owned it. By staying composed, by managing possessions, by making the Wizards play the game on his terms when their legs no longer agreed. And when the final horn finally sounded, it didn't feel explosive. It felt earned. Players shook hands with the quiet respect that only comes from shared exhaustion. Coaches nodded. The arena released a long breath it had been holding for nearly an hour. And Derrick Rose stood there, hands on hips, chest rising and falling, looking less like a highlight star and more like a leader who had just passed a test few players ever face. This game wouldn't trend on social media. It wouldn't define a season highlight package. But inside locker rooms, games like this linger. Because everyone knows what it means to go through double overtime and come out still standing.
When the locker room finally settled down, there were no speeches, no chest thumping, no victory laps. Just bodies sinking into chairs, ice packs everywhere, and the quiet relief that comes from surviving something difficult. That's the thing about games like this. They don't feel triumphant in the moment. They feel heavy, like something you had to endure rather than celebrate. Derrick Rose sat there longer than most, head tilted back, eyes closed, breathing, steadying, not replaying shots, not counting points, processing. Because this wasn't the kind of game that pads a resume. It was the kind that changes how teammates look at you. This was a night where leadership didn't come from dominance. It came from presence. For 2 overtimes, Rose never disappeared. He never waved off responsibility. He never let fatigue become an excuse to hand the moment to someone else. That matters in ways stats never show. Teammates remember who still wants the ball when legs are gone. Coaches remember who can still think clearly when chaos takes over. Opponents remember who doesn't panic when the game refuses to end. This double overtime thriller didn't define Derrick Rose. It revealed him. It showed that even before the accolades, before the league fully embraced him, he already had something rarer than explosiveness. He had resilience. And when the game dragged him into deep water and refused to let go, he didn't back down. He didn't blink. He stayed. That's why nights like this matter. Not because they're remembered loudly, but because they shape the player who eventually becomes unforgettable.